Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, Kari Vlogs. I'm Kari and this is my world where we manifest dreams, bake magic, and grow the life we love. Today's video is all about sourdough. I'm baking this new loaf I have never tried before. It smells so good. I cannot wait to dig in. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Today I'm actually going to try something I have never tried before. I'm going to be doing a butter inclusion sourdough loaf. This is something that's super popular right now in the sourdough community. I've never tried it before, but I do have my stick of butter in the freezer, freezing. Also, I'm going to be doing an inclusion of, I have organic semi-sweet chocolate chips, and then I have these Supernatural dye-free sprinkles. They're just the rainbow softies. My gosh, it's super windy out and my window is open, so hopefully you can't hear in the microphone the wind. The sprinkles and the chocolate chips are going to be going in during the shaping process toward the end, before we bake it. And then the butter is actually going to be shredded up, and then we're going to put those in during the stretch and folds slowly, but we will get to that later. First, I wanted to introduce you to my starters. This one is Dumbledore. He is about 2 years old. I have been baking sourdough for about 2 years now. We created this one in 2023. My daughter and I, she was 5 at the time, I believe, right? You were 5? She was 5 at the time and absolutely loved helping take care of this one. And then we also have Lucy Ricardo, who is 12 days old now. She is just on the cusp of being able to bake with. So we're gonna give it a try today. All the bad bacteria should be gone. So when you make a new sourdough starter, you're not supposed to bake with it when it's immature because A, it has bad bacteria in it, and B, it's not gonna give you the rise that you need to actually get a good loaf. My starter has been tripling in size for about a week now. So I'm gonna try and bake with it. I don't think there's any bad bacteria in it anymore because usually the cutoff is 10 days to 2 weeks. It depends on how warm your kitchen is or wherever you keep your starter. It depends on how often you feed it. There's just a bunch of different factors, but you cannot bake with it or save any discard before the 10-day mark. So like I said, we are at 12 days, so I'm going to try and bake with it, but I don't know if it's going to do anything. Little warning, I do not have a working oven right now. We bake everything in our toaster oven. So I do have my mini Dutch oven. This is the Paris Hilton line, and it's super small. Right now, I am going to discard both of these and get them fed. For this one, I've been doing 20 grams of starter, 20 grams of flour, 20 grams of water. And this one, since it's older and I'm super used to being able to feed it, like the certain ratios, I actually don't measure. I just feed by heart. We will be back for the next part. It has been about 5 hours now, and I just want to show you how Lucy Ricardo is doing. So we fed it about to the top of this non-GMO line right here. We should be good to bake now, and it does smell pretty sour. It smells like sourdough, which is a great thing. My favorite flour to use is actually Bob's Red Mill Organic All-Purpose Flour. A lot of people swear by King Arthur flour, which also is really good. I really like their organic all-purpose flour. Bob's Red Mill to me is a little bit better, and I feel like it's a higher quality than King Arthur. And I oftentimes get this really, really cheap on sale. So when I do, I make sure I stock up and instantly put them in the freezer. I have a cheese grater because I am going to be grating my frozen butter and putting it in during my stretch and folds. I haven't ever tried this before. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is new to me. It's supposed to make the dough like really flaky and like kind of like a croissant, I guess. And another optional item is a bread sling. I love these. They go on the bottom of your Dutch oven, and it takes the place of parchment paper. So this also helps it so it doesn't stick, and then you can easily lift the dough or the bread out of the Dutch oven. Then I have my proofing basket. A lot of times people have like wicker or like bamboo banneton baskets. I really like these flexible silicone ones. You can even bake in these. I do not bake in them. I just use this for specifically cold fermenting my dough in the fridge. Another thing that I have is my scale. I absolutely love this VitaFit scale. I'll be sure to put everything that I like using in the description below if you want to check it out and purchase yourself. As an Amazon affiliate, I do make a commission on every purchase you make through my links at no extra cost to you. Thank you so much for your support. Let's go ahead and get this party started. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our bowl and put it on our scale, and make sure you tare the scale. Make sure your unit is set to grams. Tearing the scale just means that you're putting it to 0, so that way it's not taking the weight of the bowl as part of the measurement. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure out our water. So we need 175 grams of water. Room temperature is the best to use for this. You could use slightly warm water. Just try not to use cold water if you can avoid it. 175 right on the nose. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put our sourdough starter. So for this, we need 50 grams. I'm just gonna pour it out, and this is how it should pour out, just like this. Oh, I forgot to tare the scale. So I'm gonna get to 125 or 225 because we're doing 50 grams of this plus the 175 grams of water. And make sure you tare your scale because I totally forgot. Now, some people think that the float test means something. It does not mean anything. It just means that you have air bubbles and gas in your starter. It does not mean your starter is ready to bake with. Okay, that should be it. Okay, just a little bit over, but that's fine. So now I'm gonna go ahead and mix this all up. Oh, I'm also using this little paddle type spatula. These are really, really good. They're made of silicone. They're great for feeding your starter, and they're great for mixing your dough all together. One tip that I really, really like is when you're mixing your starter from feeding it, let the starter dry to the spatula and then flake it off, put it in a bag, and then you have dehydrated starter. In case something happens to your starter, then you can start over with that. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our flour. Like I said before, I use all-purpose flour. You could use bread flour if you really want. So we're gonna do 250 grams of flour or 2 cups. All right, so I'm at 256 grams, totally fine. And then next, I'm gonna tare the scale again, and I'm gonna add my salt. So I'm gonna do 5 grams of salt. I really like using the Himalayan pink salt. You could use just regular table salt if that's what your heart desires. Okay. So now I am done with my scale, so I'm actually just gonna turn it off and put it away. We're gonna go ahead and mix this all up together, and it should combine to form a shaggy, sticky dough. The next part is called auto-lyse. So what that means basically is we're gonna let it sit under a towel for 1 hour. And what the dough is gonna do for that 1 hour, it's gonna take all that hydration and it's gonna soak into all that flour. So this shaggy dough is gonna become like actual dough. So I'm gonna pop my towel on. You can use a damp towel. I just use a dry towel because my bowl is so big and the dough is all the way down there. So I have no chance of it touching it. So we're gonna let it sit for 1 hour.
1 hour, starting now.
Okay, so I have my Alexa timing this for 1 hour, and we will be back to see what it looks like then. It's still quite a bit shaggy, but that's totally fine because we're gonna gather it all to the center right now. So basically you're just gonna scoop it from the edges and fold it into itself. kind of push it down in the middle just like this if you're like, I guess, kind of like kneading the dough. Do this about maybe like 20 to 30 times until it feels like it's come together nicely and it's nice and soft. Okay, so I'm done, and this is what it looks like. It's a nice dough ball. So now what we're gonna do is cover it again and let it rest for another 30 minutes before our stretch and folds. All right, so I just took my stick of butter out because it is stretch and fold time. My stick of butter is hard as a brick that barely put a dent in it. I'm gonna grate half of this, and then I'm gonna start by putting some of it in my first set of stretch and folds, and then I'm gonna put it in the freezer after I do my first set of stretch and folds, just so it can stay frozen during the process. All right, I got my shredded butter. It sat for 30 minutes. So now let's go ahead and do our first set of stretch and folds. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of butter and I'm just going to put it right on top here, just like this. And now for stretch and folds, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a part of it and literally just stretch it up and fold it over. And now you're going to repeat this process on each of the 4 sides. So stretch it up, fold it over. And then since I did 2, I'm going to add just a little bit more butter here. Now stretch it up and fold it over. And again, we're going to stretch it up and fold it over. All right, so I did all my stretch and folds. I'm going to cover it again, and I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to pop this back in the freezer just so that way it stays cold. Here is what we're looking like right now. Sticky a little bit still. If your dough is pretty sticky, you could get your fingers wet with some water and it'll help the dough not stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some of this frozen butter right on top. And of course, we're gonna do our stretch and fold it right over. And we're gonna do this one as well. And then now I'm going to go ahead and put my butter on top again. So the idea of doing this during the stretch and folds is so that way the butter goes throughout all the layers of the dough. I'm probably going to put it in the oven during this resting period. And then obviously I'm going to put my butter back in the fridge. So I'm going to do 2 more sets of stretch and folds. The next one will be in 15 minutes, and then the next one after that will be another 15 minutes from that. And then after I'm done with all my stretch and folds, I will be back on to show you what I do next. I'm not going to do this next couple sets of stretch and folds on camera just because my phone is at 3% and I need to charge it. So I will be back. All right. Now the next step in this process is the bulk fermentation. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to leave it in the bowl, and I'm going to put plastic wrap over the top, put it somewhere nice and warm. I'm going to put it inside of my oven, and it's going to sit until it doubles in size. So this is what it looks like now, and here's what it looks like after. So I accidentally fell asleep and I left it fermenting on the counter, or counter fermenting, bulk proofing, for about 10 hours. It does smell like it may be overproofed. It wasn't that warm in my kitchen. My window is still open and it's snowing, but it was in my oven. Without the light on or anything like that, but it wasn't getting any of that air. I can feel that it's greasy because of the butter and it's a little bit sticky, but I won't know for sure if it's overproofed until we get it out of this bowl. So let's go ahead and do the next step. And for this one, you're going to want to make sure you have super clean counters. I like using a food grade plant-based cleaner. This is what I use. It's the Ecos plant powered. Actually, it's window cleaner, but it's literally just vinegar in it, and it works really well. So here's the ingredients. It has alcohol in it too. It works really well for cleaning, and it's also not super toxic if you like ingest it or anything like that. And then I kind of just let it dry, and then once it's dry, then we're gonna go ahead and lightly flour our surface. Okay, now because we're working with dough, I'm gonna take my ring off. I didn't really have my hands in it before. So when I say lightly flour, you literally just want a sprinkle of flour because you do want some parts of it to stick onto your counter. So I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, it doesn't actually seem like it's overproofed. This is actually really great. There's no like gluten strands present or anything like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stretch this out. I don't need my bowl anymore. Try and stretch it out as best as you can. This is only if you're adding inclusions, by the way. If you're not adding inclusions, you're gonna wanna take your dough and push it and pull it and push it and pull it and push it and pull it, kind of like you're kneading it. This is just to help shape it. And we will get to the shaping process in just a couple minutes here. Okay, it's okay if there's a little bit of holes in it. You just don't want a ton of those holes, otherwise the inclusions will fall through. So next, I'm gonna open my bag of chocolate chips. I'm just gonna go ahead and pour them on half of this. Then next, I'm just gonna take my Supernatural Rainbow Softie sprinkles and just sprinkle them on. And then we're gonna do an envelope fold or a tri-fold. So fold the side over that doesn't have any inclusions first. And then we're gonna fold the side that does have the inclusions on top of that. Now, right here, you can add more inclusions. I'm gonna do more sprinkles. Let's give it a good amount of sprinkles. My kids will love that. Okay, and then what you're gonna do here is you're just gonna roll it up, just like that. Super easy. And then I like kind of like pushing it under and doing this with my hands at the bottom to make sure I get that top nice and taut. And your inclusions will start poking through. If so, kind of just push them back in. You just don't want them to burn on the top. Plus, if you're gonna do any fun scoring on the top, you want them to not be poking out of the top and ruining your scoring. Okay. That should be good. All right, and now I'm just gonna take my basket here. I have some sprinkles here. I'm just gonna throw them on the bottom of my basket, my banneton. But first, I'm gonna take a bunch of flour and put it all in there. I don't know about you guys, but I really like the design that this has, and it always reflects on top of my sourdough. Flouring it is really important because this will stick and it will be so hard to get out. So here's what it looks like right now. Super pretty. I love how the sprinkles look. I've never used sprinkles before. So we're gonna take, this is the top. We're gonna take that and we're actually gonna flip it upside down in here. And this is the side that we were doing that pinching motion on. So that's gonna be the bottom. So now I'm gonna put a cover on this and I'm gonna leave it in the fridge for about an hour just because I don't want it to be super, super sour. And I feel like it's sat and fermented on the counter long enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then I will be back to bake. All right, so we let it sit for about an hour. Maybe it's been almost closer to 2 hours. This helps it get more sour and it also makes it like a little bit harder so that way it's easier to score. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it out of this and I'm gonna put it on my sling that I use. I'm just gonna turn it out upside down. And look, I really like how this looks at the top. Oh my gosh, my cat's going crazy in the background. I really like how this looks at the top with this really nice circular shape. That's just from the banneton, obviously. You can use just a regular bowl if you don't want to use something that has that shape in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my razor and I'm going to score a nice deep ear pocket on the side. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to score a nice deep ear pocket on the side so that way any design I put on the top doesn't get a slit through it, because if you don't give it enough like of a cut to be able to expand, it'll make its own. I usually do like 3 different ears, one on each side and then one through the top, just to be extra safe. Now I'm going to carve a design in the top because I do have the ears nice and carved on the sides. All right, I just took it out of the toaster oven. I haven't baked it yet with the cover off, so right now I'm just checking to see how it looks. Oh my goodness, it is gorgeous. And look at that rise we got from it. I am gonna take it out of the Dutch oven now, and I'm just gonna do an open bake instead of doing it without the cover. My 3-leaf clover is showing. Oh my goodness. This is honestly so gorgeous. I am so excited. Okay, so now I'm gonna put it back in the toaster oven. This time I'm only gonna put the toaster oven on probably like 325. If you're using a traditional oven, I would say go for 350, maybe 400. And we're only gonna do this about 5 to 10 minutes just to get that nice brown crust on it. And once it comes out of the toaster oven, I highly recommend brushing butter on it just to give it an extra layer of flavor and help that crispy crust get super crispy. So I'm gonna go ahead and bake this the rest of the way. Okay, I just took it out of the Dutch oven and I have to show you this. Look at this flaking. Oh my goodness. This butter is a game changer. I highly, highly, highly recommend trying the butter during your stretch and fold process. I am so excited to try this. Oh my goodness, look at this. So beautiful. Okay, it's going back in the toaster oven now. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at how beautiful this is. I'm gonna rub my butter all over the top of it while it's hot. I don't think I'm ever gonna go back to the normal way of making sourdough. This is so awesome. Oh my goodness. I am so excited to cut into this bad boy. Holy cow. All right, now we gotta let it cool for about, I don't know, people let it cool all the way. I am like a let it rest for 10 minutes and eat it while it's warm type of person. Okay, so this is my knife that I use to cut my sourdough. I will make sure to link this in the description below in case you want one of your own. You can obviously use any type of knife that works well for you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this beautiful loaf now. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I am gonna go enjoy my bread now. See you on the next one. Bye!